What's up, guys? You will probably be able to notice this actually already by this point, but I've been feeling sick this week, so my voice has a nice, deep, sexy rumble to it, right? No, but if you catch a few sniffles that I'm unable to edit out, that is why. I have not been feeling great this week, but that doesn't mean that I haven't still been trying to put out good content. That doesn't mean that I haven't been reading your comments and thinking about the things that we've talked about. And in fact, today, what I want to talk to you guys about is following up more on the video that I posted up last week about, are your clothes distracting? And so if you haven't watched that yet, go check that out here and then come back, because that's going to give you some context about what I want to talk about with you guys today. I love the comments you guys have given me, both of those that were supporting what I was saying and then those that were even challenging or even asking some further find out questions, because like I've said before in multiple videos, I honestly, I turn on the camera and then I just start a stream of consciousness thought process that I will talk about things that I've thought about throughout the week or since the last time I recorded a video. But by no means are these fleshed out and hardened philosophies and concepts. I'm figuring this out and just thinking out loud. And so I love getting your feedback because it helps me see what the errors are in my thought processes and what the strengths are too. And so please keep leaving your comments and please keep contributing to this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this idea of, are your clothes distracting? One of the things that I saw that was pretty consistent in the comments is the idea of, are your clothes distracting, as in, do they get attention? And that's not necessarily what I was asking, because sometimes being a distraction is the job at hand. And just to confirm that, because I know I talked about that a little bit in the video, but just to confirm, sometimes being a distraction or completely standing out from the crowd, looking entirely ex-tribe, is the job at hand, and that's what you want to do. If that is, are your clothes helping you accomplish that? Or if that's not the job and that's actually what your clothing is accomplishing, then that means it probably is distracting from your job. So distracting from your job versus distracting from what everybody else is used to seeing are two different concepts. So I hope that clears that up. Now, as I've thought about this a little bit more, I started thinking about it in the context of a couple of different things. And the first one, that was one of the comments that one of you guys left, was really good. It was this idea of, do you always conform to tribe, or is there room for anything else in between? And one of the things that I teach my guys in the Odysseus undertaking, one of the things that I teach when I'm speaking, and one of the things that I'm working on in the book that I'm working on, is understanding a few different variables. In fact, there are 6 of them that are essential in dressing well. It's body, archetype, tribe, taste, location, and effort. So those 6 variables are the key crucial components to really establishing both a style and a presence that will always work for you instead of against you. Now, the 2 T's that are in there, tribe and taste, are 2 things that can work hand in hand. There's a little bit of opposition between the 2 of them, but those are things that help you strike the right balance between conformity and authenticity. Now, what I mean by that is, if you're someone you're an iconoclast, you're bombastic, you want to really stand out, you don't want to be pigeonholed into being part of a tribe. Essentially, if you fall within the rakish archetype, then you are much better off having way more taste than tribal conformity in the way that you dress. Now, if you fall more within the refined archetype, you're not as much of an attention seeker. You don't want to be defined as being someone who's always going against the grain or going against the rules. I'm that way. I'm a rule follower. I like the rules. And so in that situation, you're better off having more of the tribal conformity and less of your own personal taste. Now, very, 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 very rarely are you going to go so far to taste or so far to tribe that you don't have some element of the other one that's in there, because most of the time you have to have some ratio between the 2, and you're just going to lean more one way or more the other. But let's say that you fall somewhere in between and you don't necessarily know what it is that you want to do. I've been thinking about this a lot over the last week since that video, and I think that I have a good idea of how you can accomplish that. And that is, dress in a way that from anybody who's ex-tribe, anybody who is outside of your actual tribe, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between you and the majority of other people within your group, but the people within your group will be able to see a noticeable difference in the way you dress versus the way that everybody else does. Now, if you think about it this way, take suiting, for example, okay? Let's say everybody in your office, because you're an attorney or whatever it may be, everybody in your office wears navy suits, white shirts, solid ties, black shoes. And to go even to the next level of introducing a colored shirt, because the conformity expectations within your office or within that tribe are so strong that even just by going that little notch out can get you in trouble, you're better off making the slightest difference and say, maybe your lapels are a little bit bigger or a little bit narrower than what the other guys are wearing. Maybe when everybody else is wearing a low-rise flat front trouser, you do a high-rise with a pleat. Maybe you do a cuff. Maybe you do a really deep chocolate shoe as opposed to a black. And so if you were to be in a lineup and nobody who worked in the office who knew you or nobody who was in the group saw you, they would still think that you were conforming just like anybody else. But to those within that group and within that tribe, they would see those subtle differences and recognize that you're comfortable standing out and you're doing so in a way that still acknowledges the need of conformity within the group, but at the same time you're willing to inject some of your own personal taste. Now, the other thing that I thought about as I was fleshing out that idea is because you think of guys, I know we've talked about him a lot lately, but he's such a good example of all this, is somebody like Conor McGregor, because he dresses so differently from anybody else. But the reason he can do that is because his status within the tribe is way up here. And so if your status is up here, you have the skills, the authority, the gravitas, the presence, the whatever else it may be, but ultimately the status to be able to give the middle finger to conformity within the tribe, then if you're all the way up here, you can largely dress however you want because everybody else who is lower in status within that group is going to want to conform to the new standards and the new rules that you're setting. If you're down here, then you're way better off conforming, and then as you climb that status ladder within the tribe, then you can start to branch out and change things a little bit. Now, obviously, again, there's going to be some room for fluctuation because maybe you're down here and you're aspiring to get here, and so you use that tool of dressing differently and standing out a little bit as a way to help you with your aspirations to climb higher. Or maybe you are all the way up here, and rather than wanting to upset the apple cart and kind of throw everybody off, you just want to double down on the things that are going really well within the tribe, and so you conform even a little bit more, even though you have the status to really go against the grain. There's a ton of different variations that work within that. And ultimately, that's what this all comes down to, is what I do and what so many of you do and what I want all of us to do is to think, okay, here's what I need to accomplish in my career, with my family, with my peer group, with whatever it is that I'm trying to do in my life. This is the goal. How can my clothing and my presence, whether that's my body, my archetype, my taste, my tribe, my location, or my effort, how can those things contribute towards getting me from here to here? And if you can think about it that way and you start to leverage these as individual tools, you start to get higher and higher, then ultimately, that's when you're dressing intentionally, that's when you're dressing effectively. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say on this because I think that this continues to flesh out that idea, but I don't think that we're all the way there yet. So leave me a comment below, let me know your thoughts on this. As always, I hope you guys loved the video, leave me a thumbs up, and I will catch you on the next one.